Welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm North American Fall Regional here as we are in for the final game of the day. It will be a rematch. It will be Murloc Geniuses going up against Denial eSports as Murky decides to destroy Nova over towards the stage. That's a fair matchup. Of course, we can take a look at the bracket once again, boys, to make sure we know exactly what has gone on throughout the day here, as well as what is to come for our final match, as we've had 4 series so far here during the entire tournament. So let's take a look at that bracket. Of course, we had Naventic starting the day off with a 2-0 against Astral Authority, which knocked them down to the lower bracket. And unfortunately for them, they are now eliminated, having gone up against Denial eSports 2-1. Then Denial's eSports up towards the top. Well, before all of that, of course, did also drop down against Murloc Geniuses. They advanced on. Naventic took the top spot here in Group A, and now we find ourselves with Denial eSports going up against Murloc Geniuses once again. And the big question on everybody's mind here is, will we see a repeat performance from Murloc Geniuses against Denial eSports?
You know, in those first set between Denial and Murloc Geniuses, I feel like a lot of the game came down to Murloc Geniuses abusing Denial's drafts.
Right.
We saw that Illidan get crushed by the counter pick. We saw the weak Zeratul play. So I would really like to see Denial pick more standard, try and play the gray material stuff maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they're picking ETC Uther in like first rotations almost every single time, which is just like, I mean, obviously comfort picks for CAF, comfort picks for APM, but when it boils down to it, there's also a lot of counterplay that's happening for Glaurung. So Glaurung, obviously a playmaker with he has a wide hero pool, but he only has a few heroes that he's like really strong on, and it feels like that the fact that they're not giving him those heroes early, we haven't seen him on Greymane once today, where he's super confident. It's been hurting them a bit, I think.
Well, this is kind of what I wanted to ask you, actually, because we haven't seen them use Greymane at all throughout the day. Is this something that they just don't want to do? Do they feel comfortable?
No, definitely, because we've seen K1 Pro play like a little bit more of a range style of Greymane, a great success, and we've seen the same exact thing, but a little bit more of a Worgen style on Glaurung. They're more than capable of running Greymane in many different styles.
Yeah, I think the only reason they haven't run Greymane so far is because they don't value it in that first pick position.
Okay.
We've seen every other team first pick Greymane, first pick Greymane, first pick Greymane. Them, they're like first pick ETC. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you know, CAF has been playing ETC all day today. He's had some sick moshes, but I just feel like the ETC opener to the draft leaves you a little more vulnerable to getting locked out of those melee assassins, locked out of that damage roll.
They've gone for their ETC, and they've almost, I think, in every single game, actually, apart from one where they got Falstad, gone for a support to back it up. So they seem to not mind too much about what damage they're getting in these games, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but at the same time, I find it kind of odd because Caffeine can have a great impact on so many different heroes. Like, his Nubarak is phenomenal. His Muradin's great. Sure, Muradin's a little bit different than he used to be, but we haven't had the opportunity to see a whole lot of that, and we haven't seen a lot of double warrior out of them as well.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just because Glaurung feels more comfortable on those melee assassins, his original role. And if so, is that going to be a problem for them going forward? If they even make it to international competition, that could be a problem there, especially if the meta is still very heavily double warrior focused.
Of course, Murloc Geniuses looked good against Denial eSports in their first series. And against Naventic, you know, it wasn't a massive landslide per se. They still looked okay against them, but Naventic kind of outclassed just because, I suppose, the players that they are. So going into the initial series, I would have imagined both of you would have said Denial eSports were going in as the favorites. But now going into this next series, has that changed a little bit with Murloc Genius' performance so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone who came to the event today thought Denial was the pinnacle of NA after the roster apocalypse. That was kind of the hype that was going around internally. And it just doesn't seem to have held out. They're really going to have to play a lot better than they were before. We saw a lot of missed heroics, a lot of miscommunication, missed timings, messing with each other's heroics. You know, that Gust, Sunder, the combinations just not being quite right. And they're going to have to step that up to beat Murloc Geniuses.
I mean, the benefit is they are coming off a win, even though it was a little shaky and, honestly, just kind of barely clutched it out with that last team fight. That has to feel a little bit good. They have a bit of momentum going with them. They've worked out the kinks. I think maybe some of those tournament jitters that were plaguing them in the first series versus Murlocs should have been just kind of worn off by now. We're several hours into this day. This is the final match of the day. The team that wins here, they go to playoffs.
Yeah, and On a little personal note, I do happen to know that K1 and CAF don't like waking up early, and that first set was so fast, it was still the AM when they played Murloc Geniuses,
Right.
so maybe that had something to do with it.
Ah, okay, I get you. Of course, make sure to join in the discussion with the hashtag HGC at ESL Heroes as well as at Heroes Esports, and also predict which team you think is going to win as well with a hashtag. Because, of course, we've been doing those polls all day that will be shown throughout the day, and if you tweet, there's the potential that your tweets can be shown throughout the games. Now, our first map is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen. We have seen other comps. Well, we've seen other teams running the Zul, Zagara. We've seen it very highly prioritized. Neither of these teams have been in that fold just yet. Let's see if it's going to be the case. And whoa, Kerrigan goes through. Zagara gets banned, guys.
Wow, this has to be what Denial wants of the draft, right? They get to ban out Cawthon, Zagara, and get Glaurung and Kerrigan.
I mean, that's a great start for them, but again, Greymane, not going to be picked up on the side. It's going to go straight to Murlocs. We've seen APM on Uther. Every single game they can give it to him. Actually, if you look back at the first match of the day versus Murloc when he was on Rhaegar, his Ancestrals were late a lot of the time. And so many fights, the Ancestrals just a little bit too late. So that's going to be putting him out of his comfort zone. We might see him going back to that Kharazim. We saw him play it once. Kharazim is most played hero of all of them. But is that going to be optimal with a Kerrigan?
No, I think it's definitely going to be rough for them. The Uther-Kerrigan matchup is actually something I used to play a lot, and I think the Uther just denies Kerrigan's engages so well.
Right.
Kerrigan tries to engage, you can either de-shield or cleanse, and you can even stun to retaliate. So I feel like you really want to play Kerrigan with Uther. Playing it into Uther is going to be hard, especially because Greymane is going to take so good of an advantage of that Divine Shield to turn around and re-engage.
Sylvanas being the pickup for Denial Esports as their third here. So far, what do you make of the comp that we're seeing from Denial?
I mean, that's really strong. If you think about just the power slide with the Kerrigan combo alone, and you can throw Wailing Arrow on top of that post level 10, I mean, that's phenomenal. But actually, all things considered, based on what we've seen for the early portions of the Denial's draft, this might be my favorite one today.
Yeah, I definitely like this. The Sylvanas does help cover some of the wave clear weaknesses of the Kerrigan ETC, which I do like, but they still need to find a solid solo laner. Right now, both teams, neither one has a solid solo laner, and Zagara has already been locked out. So if Murloc Geniuses gets to pick Thrall and take a big advantage in that lane, that could be huge for them.
Now, I just want to point out, you might be saying, why the Jaina ban? That's just a K1 Pro pick. They know that they can throw Prismet on Sylvanas, and based on the clumping and the combo potential, you don't want to see Jaina on the table.
I like it we're in an alternate universe now where Jaina is suddenly bannable. Like, thinking a few months ago that would have not been the case.
It only takes one player to make that a thing.
I guess so, and there it is. All right, what is Murloc Genius is going to go to now? What options do they have, Dunk, do you think?
Well, with the Johanna banned out, there's not that primary tank ETC counter, so I have to expect Murloc Geniuses is just going to go to Tyrael. I mean, everybody's been playing Tyrael today. I think they're just going to end up picking that as their tank. The question is really whether they'll have a second tank with that, or a bruiser or something. I could see like a Tyrael Sonya working really well. The Li Ming pick here seems fantastic. Denial Esports is still looking for one more damage dealer on their team and then the support. So picking away that Li Ming just secures it right now. It's not very likely that they're going to take like your Sonya or something or a Tyrael, since they already have two melees.
What do you think about Zul here? With the Greymane and the Li Ming?
I think Zul has a lot of potential, but I know a lot of pros consider the Kerrigan-Zul matchup really unfavorable for Zul.
Okay.
He's just such a target for the Kerrigan combos.
That makes sense.
She blows up his shield really quickly. So I think that's why a lot of people, you see them shy away from that. In the sets where Kerrigan was banned, Zul first picked. In this set, maybe Murloc Genius is too afraid to play the Zul into Kerrigan, so that's why they're avoiding it.
All right, Denial Esports, two more picks now. Tyrael was coming in towards the end, as you predicted, as is kind of normal now throughout the day. Super happy to see that. I love him, he's great. And Denial Esports, what choices do they have? I suppose they could go Rhaegar if they really wanted to. I mean, it's kind of the normal go-to here.
Yeah, Rhaegar makes a lot of sense. Kael'thas on the table as well when you think of that combo potential, just being able to throw the Gravity Lapse empowered by that. But Kharazim also still very much on the table when you think of just the playstyle here.
Yeah, I would really like to see Rhaegar, though. I mean, the ETC really needs that Ancestral, I feel like, to stay in the front line against Li Ming Greymane. He's just got so much kill potential on the enemy team that I'm concerned that even if he hits a mosh pit, if Li Ming is outside it, she can kill him anyway. Okay. So having that big health heal is just going to be so much more valuable, I feel like, than the Kharazim, who has good spread damage healing, but Murloc Genius is all in on single target right now.
may end up being the Kale Fast if they want to go for a mega damage across the board. And realistically, when I look at that as a composition, it's kind of scary going up against what Murloc Genius have. They have a lot of invincibility, but once that's down, that damage doesn't stop if it is Kale Fast in the end.
Obviously, this isn't the Cloud9 that once was with you and iDream and the whole crew back together, but this still feels very akin to what that style is. K1 Pro, King Caffeine, very comfortable in a comp where you can go in, dive, land the big stuns, and if you throw Kale Fast in the mix, I mean, that could be huge. K1 Pro very capable of being that ranged assassin here, but they're giving it a lot of thought. I mean, obviously Jan is off the table. Do you think there's any chance they do something like Vala? It just seems suboptimal.
Oh, we do actually see the Vala. Are you psychic, Jake? That was impressive. In all seriousness, I think a lot of people don't consider Vala a realistic choice right now in the meta. But, I mean, I know K1 really likes playing Vala. He feels like he has a ton of impact on the hero. You could just chunk those tanks out. So I do like the pick. I just am worried about the Thrall.
It's got to be Rain of Vengeance, though, right? I mean, with this combo, Rain sounds really good.
So much CC lockdown, really high potential, but Thrall historically has crushed Vala in the matchup just because her health pool is so low. If she gets hit by the Sunder, Thrall can almost always close to her and insta-kill her before she can react. So that's one of the worst things about this draft, I think, is Vala's going to be in so much danger. She doesn't have an Uther to save her, and you don't want to Ancestral Vala's health pool.
Well, seeing a prioritization of Valor over there. I mean, she has a little bit more of an escape over there at Kale Fast to be able to just try and keep her a little bit more mobile. Personally, I'm always a big fan of playing Valor when I'm able to cast 3 spells from full mana and then just actually have to go back and get enough mag.
Well, to be fair, at least if Vala goes Q build, she can survive the Greymane solo dive.
Right.
So maybe they were concerned about Kael'thas surviving the de-shielded Greymane, whereas Vala can maybe get some shenanigans with Siphoning Arrow.
Yeah, definitely could be a case. Looking at these drafts, Jake, as a whole, I mean, who are you favoring here? Is there any particular preference from Murloc Geniuses or Denial?
I mean, honestly, in this meta right now, the Vala, although it's not necessarily optimal, there's just so much stun potential for this map here. And I actually think Denial have probably their best draft of this tournament.
Getting themselves a hold of Kerrigan is definitely something that may give them sway here. As you were mentioning before, Glaurung, very much so known for that in the past. You think he's going to be one of the playmakers here?
Yeah, I definitely think their team is going to rely on it. We saw last game the Kerrigan forcing out the Sanctification in poor positions in the Astral Authority set. So if Glaurung can make the same performance, threaten the right people, make cooldowns get wasted, then he can have a big impact. It's just going to be tough playing into that D-Shield.
Yeah.
How is he going to actually kill targets?
Into the D-Shield and into the Sanctification. I mean, there is so much potential for defensive capabilities on the side of Murloc Geniuses, and they did look good in their first series against them. All right, we're getting into game number 1 of Murloc Geniuses versus Denial eSports. This is the series to decide who moves on to the semifinals and who keeps their hopes alive for going on to BlizzCon. Is Jun someone who's going to try and make waves here for Murloc Geniuses?
You know, the one thing I just want to point out here on the side of Murlocs is this is one of the few games where they don't have a global presence. They tend to try to utilize that to their advantage with either the Flight of Fall stat or just Zagara being all over the place. And with that off the table here, even though it's a smaller map, that could really shake things up for them, forcing this fight more straight up.
All right, well, we are good to go. Game number 1 in our final best of 3 of the day. We're heading over to Gilly and Dread for the commentary.
Thank you, Kalaris. Yes, again, at the casting desk, one last time for today's team, Drilly and Dread. I have to say, I'm starting to get more and more scared for Denial, not just because they seem very shaken, not just because of the draft here, but Murlocs have a ton of comfort picks, Cattle on Thrall. Once again, we have Psalm playing Greymane, and that was great before, and they have so much to be able to keep him safe.
Yeah, and this is a composition we've seen in Asia a lot. A little bit of an adjustment having the Li Ming, but Murloc Geniuses right now, outside of having no kill potential or limited kill potential in the 4-man, they really do have a dominant teamfight composition post-10 here. So we'll see if they can minimize the damage on the side of Denial, because Kerrigan's Glaurung is very well known for his Kerrigan here. He's going to have to play very efficiently in the upper half of the map. But for now, going head-to-head in the mid lane, just kind of get that wave clear. Really good damage on the Glaurung already on the side of Murlocs.
And Cattle has started to rotate down. He'll be potentially the solo laner, but was watching for counter rotation from Denial too. It looks like Vala drew the short straw in that matchup, trying to go toe-to-toe with Thrall. Meanwhile, the rest will be rotating between the top and mid, and for now, Murloc Geniuses are the ones controlling that so far.
Yeah, and a lot of it, this wave clear advantage that they're gaining in this type of situation for Murloc is huge. Again, talking about the kill potential, the ETC Kerrigan combo, if they cannot deal with your wave clear, which we see them struggling with already, like Calf is trying to get that zone because they know they have to win the kill potential. They have to be able to get those picks. Honestly, I would like to see them right now, Denial, send Glowing to bottom. You know that lane's going to be a problem. You have kill potential. There they go. They make that rotation. They already see that this is going to be a problem, and they end up getting aggressive towards the bottom half of the map. See if they're going to be able to get it. Cattle staying mounted very well. Yeah, and he sniffs it out. So really good job here from these teams.
He knew that there was immediately someone going to go, and that means that Caffeine and Glowering will come back to the mid lane and still try to find some picks with this early composition, with the stun locks they have. They're body blocking Fury. This could be the first kill. There's a great pull from Glowering and a first blood for Denial.
That was pretty much Mac. Oh my goodness, Prismat barely going to be able to survive that situation. But for Glowering, that was almost as wide as they could have gone for both his E and his W. So great job from him, showing his expertise on the hero, maximizing his damage, getting the kill there. And again, it's really just going to come down to if they can snowball their lead. I really do feel like the first turn-in is going to go on in favor of Denial, and they're going to gain a decent spike. But once we get post 10, this is going to be a rough matchup. Cattle getting aggressive, but we got the bait. Glowering coming in, movement speed now going to be down. Can he get the combo? He's moving into a choke. Is going to be able to hit it, and I don't know if Kato's going to be able to survive. He does end up falling down. Really good job here again from Denial.
I have to shout out Glow at this point for the patience in both of these kills that they've gotten, because they know that they're on the ropes here and that things have not looked great for them. The fact that they're here, they went 2-1 with Astral. Saw him dodging a combo here, but King Caffeine still has Power Slide. They will go in with that. APM jumping in too, and they secure another kill in this early game.
Yeah, this is really great job. Again, Denial needs to be pushing this kill advantage as hard as they possibly can. Staggering the deaths is the best case, because again, once you get one pick with this style of comp that Denial has, yes, your opponents were winning the 1-4, but you've already disrupted it, right? We've seen June in the bottom half of the map for just in the 1v1 doing his own thing. He has 0 wave clear. He has very low kill potential. So you're buying 20-second time where, okay, yeah, you had the upper hand in wave clear, but now you don't for this duration. And just staggering that is exactly what they need. So Denial is showing pretty good signs of life here so far in this matchup.
Right. It eases up the pressure that they were getting from the rotation from Murloc Geniuses. But we also see Denial constantly going to the turn-in points. And I feel like it's almost a little bit because the last time that they were in Tomb against Rexar, they had such a problem trying to turn it. At one point holding like 150 gems. So they're like, we don't ever want to get in a fight under that situation ever.
Yeah, that could be the case here. Manticore is actually picked up at level 4 for the ball as well. Maybe going to be able to help her with that single target damage in the lane. Other than that, we don't see anything too surprising. I did want to note, though, that we see Triumvirate coming out on the side of Li Ming. Not so popular anymore. That poke style build has kind of died for some time. Glowering actually missing the combo here in the skirmish. That's going to drop a lot of the threat that they have as a team. But he's got to get a lot of value out of that talent. I really feel like against such a heavy melee style comp, and he's got that death ball, right? That's like a Calamity dominance dream, so it's surprising to see him take that adaptation in this match.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of an homage to former teammate Faye, who was very popularized for using the Arcane Orb build, but probably we'll still see Li Ming going for Calamity still at 7. We'll have to see. It could be potentially more of the magic missiles, but I think with Kerrigan coming in, you want to be able to have the more damage off of that and help out with her wave clear too.
I agree, and so far nothing really outside of that staggered death. It's been very still, but as I say that, Fury actually getting caught out, he will be able to queue out of that situation. Glowering doesn't have the combo up yet. And really, getting the 15 turn-in, it's going to come down, again, to who gets that first early turn-in. Maybe if they can snowball their advantage. Really, Denial just needs to keep looking for those picks. Glowering has got to play this early game out of his mind. And as I say that, he does find Psalm slightly isolated. He doesn't have dis. Oh, he does dodge the combo. That's going to be really good for them. And see if they're going to be able to turn it here, Gilly.
Smooth plays from Psalm as the rest jump in and they get a quick kill on Kerrigan. APM very, very low, running away, and Cawthon survives. So just one kill off of that fight, but it's starting to bring Murlocs back into this game, into the experience game after they were getting behind from the few picks that Denial picked up.
Yeah, that was a really good job from them, getting a counter response to this early game aggression Denial has. They have turned in 33 now. Fury on the upper half of the map trying to get a turn in. Cattle is doing it as well on the bottom half. He's not going to be able to get it, but for now, it's a little bit even. I am surprised so far with how Murloc's, for instance, that last kill. I didn't think that they were going to be able to do that well. Personally, I thought they were going to fall about half level to a level behind in this early game. So they're being very patient and understanding the situation that they're in.
Yeah, their rotations have been good to catch back up, and they knew let's talk about the Psalm dodge. On the combo was great. Really good read on Kerrigan to be able to make sure not to get pulled in, because it could have been a 1-for-1 trade there very easily.
I am surprised to see at level 7 here for the Greymane, we do go with Quicksilver bullets rather than the Wizened Duelist, especially since you have Uther. And you've got the Tyrael. The double protection there, I mean, the E-Star 1-2 punch, really what they've kind of been known for.
But when you look at Murlocs, they have 2 Greymane players. They have Psalm and Caterpillar. I feel like when I watch them play, when it's Caterpillar, it is more of that melee style where they go Wizened Duelist. But most of the time when I've seen Psalm, it even goes into the Cocktail build, where he's far more focused on a poke. And it might just be because of that role differential in who is playing Greymane.
Yeah, that could be the case, but we do see Murloc Genius's 5-man group towards the middle lane. They're going to be able to take out this front wall, but everything's being cleared on the side lanes here. That group, typically when you group in the early turn-ins on this map, you always want to ensure that you at least get a pick or your opponents are reacting to you, right? But they weren't. They were completely separated, and they didn't force nearly as hard as I think they should have. So they put themselves in a pretty rough spot. 2-man power slide coming in there. Fury actually is not going to be hit by that combo. Kato's taking a lot of damage, though, and gets blown up by that bite. But Caffeine is on the run here. 70 health, and he does end up falling. That's a reset, and he hits him with another combo here.
Now, but Li-Ming goes down 2. It's a 2-for-2, and that will be the end of the fight. They have a ping on K1 Pro. He's trying to get out of here. 19 gems being held by Bala. Glaurung pulls Fury in to try to stop him, but Swift Retribution being used. They have that talent. Fury is still on the chase for K1.
He just levels up Rain there, and he turns it onto them, but Divine Shield, the 2-man combo as a response. Glaurung getting Ancestral over the wall here. Everybody seems to be falling down now for Murloc Geniuses as they are onto the retreat here. I don't think Fury has the mana to be able to get out of the situation, but neither does Glaurung. Now posturing for this turn, and that's 41, and will be the first turn, and they get the delay. Sunder now as a response.
Oh, and Cattle's going for it too, popping to use his Feral Spirit to get the root, and Glaurung in a terrible position. That is a lot of gems. APM picks them up, runs away in Ghost Wolf form, tries to jump back in with Caffeine, holding Thrall down.
That Sanctification actually didn't hit Caterpillar here. 79 gems are sitting on APM. That was their main kill target, and they weren't able to secure it quite yet. Now we see Caffeine going and getting the stun onto Gathon. Guess what? K1 Pro has now actually survived and, died and come back to life. Now Cattle is on the run. The mobility from Fury is not going to be enough here. Slumber joining back in. This is just people throwing bodies at one another at this point.
Fury was out of mana for so much of that fight. No shield to try to help get Thrall out of there. And APM was able to pick up the gems that were dropped, which is so huge because they're going to get the first turn-in on their side.
Yeah, that type of team fight is exactly what Murloc Geniuses wants to avoid. If you look at the composition that Denial has, obviously there are a couple other things like getting the heroics a little bit early, taking the fight into the chokehold. But again, Murloc works great in a 5-man death ball, and Denial thrives in those skirmishes. Vala is actually very, very powerful, especially with the build that we see K1 taking in that style play. Kerrigan as well. And so if we can see that avoided, I feel like Murlocs will have a better chance in these later team fights. But so far, Denial has done a really good job in this. Fury now getting caught out.
Cleanse used to make sure that Fury's fine. There comes the Sundering too, and Glaurung wants to go for Cawthon, who is pretty low, using the Maelstrom. They have to use Ancestral Healing to keep her up, and that's a lot of heroics for not getting a kill here, whereas Sanctification and Divine Shield are available along with Go for the Throat, so Denial might have to play a little more cautiously.
Yeah, one thing Murlocs might have to adjust if they're going to have success in this teamfight. Actually, Fury getting not caught out, dodging the combo, got to be able to get the Q out of that situation. Power Slide going on to Cattle. He has no major cooldowns. Wailing Arrow is going to be used. Sanctification coming out. Glaurung now is the main focus. Clan is going to be used on him. He survives with 70 health, and that is going to be one reset, but 1-for-1 so far in this teamfight, but everybody for Denial is falling.
Murloc Geniuses is still on the chase too. You mentioned that the resets have started and they want to continue. Yes, they have lost Greymane, but they took out Kerrigan too, and that's a lot of the fear. And Mosh Pit just now came online. It was a nice place for Denial to be able to fight because they have Sylvanas and can shut down the fort, but maybe just getting a little too overeager, losing 1-2. At least though, they're still ahead in experience. They got a lot more out of their turn-in that Murlocs did too.
Yeah, keeping Murloc Geniuses busy during that turn-in, that 1-for-1 trade is definitely a win for the side of Denial because they got a lot more value. They don't have, I guess with Sylv, they do have a bit of a sieging composition, but outside of the threat that she can provide, it's all about the kills here for them. And now we see them getting the counter turn in. But one thing I wanted to point out during that last skirmish is the second time we've seen this is Glaurung has his eyes on Li-Ming all the time, and she is blinking away and taking so much damage that you know as a support you don't want to burn your resources onto her. I actually think that for Murlocs to have a successful team fight, she's going to have to blink aggressively and then follow into the Sanct rather than that withdrawal, because Glaurung will keep chasing and be able to win that 1v1. So I hope to see if they'll be able to make that adaptation here. But for now, Denial is on the aggression.
Kind of like the advice that Lockdown got back when he was playing Li Ming at the Summer Global Championship, as his coach told him, be aggressive, be on the front line with the Calamity build. You can do that, you do damage, you have Wave of Force to push you away, and you can be that way in the shielding as well as the Sanctification.
Wow, that was a very aggressive move. Rain of Vengeance coming into play, Big Sunder as well, but the Mosh not going to hit anybody. Sanctification with Glowing Isolated confirms 1 kill now, Gilly. Everybody for Denial is withdrawing.
Right, but there are a lot of sieging Web Weavers still left from this push, so Murlocs are going to have to be okay with just the 1 kill from that. It does way lessen the push here, and it still has the lane control for Denial. They look like they want to try to set up around the boss as soon as this is done. We've seen them do this once before here on Tomb.
Yeah, that's largely just because that bottom Web Weaver is going to be the last one surviving, knowing that somebody's going to rotate. But because Fury's the only one there, that is definitely an aggressive move. I don't think they'll be looking to do it. It does end up falling here, and Denial, dancing for a sec, they decide to move in and start it. Murloc's not even thinking about it.
They do not
really
realize
great play.
this.
I don't know. I wonder if they actually know and they just think it's not worth the risk. It's one of those things where we can't really know unless we're in the cons with these players, but that will be a boss now moving over for Denial.
That is a boss that will push onto the top keep, trying to open up a win condition for Denial. Murloc Geniuses just want to try to get a turn in, so that's something Denial has to deal with while Murlocs can contend with the boss, but Denial moved down really fast here. The Web Weavers will start to descend, and already you see some of the members of Murlocs going back so they don't lose too much to this boss.
I personally feel like that was too panicked of a turn-in this situation. It's going to gain little to no value, and it burns so many resources that it's going to hurt them as this game moves on. Bottom Web Weaver is going to gain almost nothing. Top is obviously going to gain little to no value, and mid is going to be cleared instantly. So I understand the idea of buying time, but it's not like Denial was pushing with that boss.
Right.
There was very little play for them to kind of make in that type of situation. Yes, you got the boss in the upper hand, but they were too worried about other factors on the map. I would have liked to see the preservation of the gems here, but they decide otherwise, and now it's a situation where the Web Weaver's getting cleared up, and 16 advantage is going to be picked up for Denial.
What I do want to say is that things have been looking a lot better for Denial. As I say that, though, they have to use Cleanse to get King Caffeine out, as well as Wailing Arrow.
Yeah, that was a cooldown that you do not want to see used if there was going to be a major team fight, so that will be down for 80 more seconds, but Sundering was used in a panicked order as well to try and get them, so a little bit of a trade.
Well, now both teams trying to get to 16 talents for the next team fight and 4 turn-ins too. As soon as this Web Weaver is down, we'll see how close both teams are. Denial wasn't really close to being able to get a turn-in right off of the boss either too, so that wasn't too much of a concern, but still, Murlocs, they need to get 16, and they have to get it fast because they're going to have to try to start stopping some of these turn-ins because Denial are getting very, very close now.
Yeah, they are, and you see them being very aggressive here. 55, 57 gems now for Denial eSports. They're going to be backing out, turning those in. Only one more wave is necessary, and we know that Murloc Geniuses will not be able to get 16 during that time. They're going to try and probably delay as long as they possibly can, but it is going to be a very risky choice. Again, the engage that Denial has is just so good. But for now, they're just posturing around, clearing out the waves. A very passive game from Murloc Geniuses here after that small split skirmish at level 10.
Bala has now picked up Executioner along with Searing Attacks and Manticore, so she really does have a potential to burn somebody down too, especially while nobody really sees Vala as too much of a threat, right? You're way more worried about a Kerrigan in the fights. You see Kerrigan in the front line trying to pull people in, and you're way too scared about that in a mosh pit. So you can feel fairly safe in this fight.
Yeah, and now the Web Weavers moving in. Top lane's going to be very far back. Bottom should gain some value, but for now, everybody is looked towards the middle lane as Denial eSports is already working on it. Keep in mind the Sylvanas is going to gain a lot of value here with that level 4 talent. It's going to be spreading to everybody almost permanently. It almost feels like permanent uptime at this point. We do see Cattle going in, getting a lot of damage on Caffeine. Very patient. I'm surprised nobody went to go get harass onto him.
Yeah. He gets back behind the wall. They're slowly clearing this out. Only one grab, so not too far ahead from this Web Weaver phase, even with the Sylvanas. Prismaticism was pretty far back. There's a cleanse on Cattle. He's going after it, and Ancestral doesn't connect. Kerrigan gets taken out. Here comes the follow-up Sundering. It resets for days as Sylvanas drops. Rain of Vengeance just to try to get away, and now K1 Pro is in trouble as Psalm has found another target.
That's a 4-0 wipe here for Murloc Geniuses. Really well executed, being able to get the kill and resets as fast as they can. But what they need to be doing now is they have no structures down whatsoever. Opening up the map as fast as they possibly can. It looks like they're going to decide to make that notion towards the middle lane, turning in right before their opponent spawns, so you gain the maximum value. during the Web Weaver phase, I really like this choice. I would like to see them move towards bottom or top, one of the side lanes where it's going to gain value, preferably bottom because the wave's already pushing, which means the Web Weaver will gain the most value there. But they need to make sure something big happens off of this. Only one fort, I think, is just not going to be enough. But a really good team fight already coming out from them.
Only 20 seconds left. 10 now for Vala until she is back up. And one tower taken down in the mid has given Murloc Geniuses an experience lead. Even though they didn't have structures down, it's experience in the bank if they can just get them down. So now with this, hopefully they can get some more and try to get Storm Talents ahead of Denial.
Just from that decision making on the side of Murlocs, by going for a little bit of harass on the middle, we need to keep in mind that they're trying to open up win conditions, right? They are so far behind structurally here, and they are going to use this Web Weaver to open up on the bottom half of the map. But for right now, they essentially put themselves in a position where they need multiple turn-ins before they have that one win condition, and they are even backing out on the bottom half here. I'm really surprised by this decision making from them. They make the rotation to mid. They're winning the race to 20, and they've got that going for them. They have an absurdly good team fight composition if they don't get caught out.
They are, but the way that these are going to be pushing, I think they're trying to get them to go at the same time, so maybe they can leave the top one alone. It will get a fort, help them in that boss lane, and then they can posture on this mid and to try to force more people here. But Denial have shown such good split in defending these so far.
Yeah, they have done a really good job. And one thing we also have to shout out to on that last team fight specifically that I didn't know allowed was actually June's cleanse. He's done a very good job as a response to Kerrigan. And that was a large reason they were able to just turn that fight completely. But we do see a catch out here. Good cleanse again from Psalm, or onto Psalm there from June so far. And the Wailing Arrow is going to be burnt very, very early. That is a huge cooldown to have up again. I mean, at this point, you can't hide it. That is the second absurdly early Wailing Arrow coming out from Prismat, and that could be something that as this moves on, it might not punish them now, but could be a game changer if they get a really good fight later, and it's just going to be off cooldown.
It is no short cooldown.
No,
either.
It is not.
That's a problem not to have it, because it is a big follow-up to try to help so that you can burst down somebody with the composition that they have.
Yeah, I very much agree with you, and it's a game-changing one as well. You know, it's not only just the duration, but the impact that it can have in a team fight. Like Phoenix, for instance, it does have value, right? But you're not like, oh man, we don't have Phoenix, we can never fight. It's kind of a convenience at that point here. But teams are posturing around the boss. This is a great play for Denial because the only fight that they can really win for some time is going to be before 20. And by baiting this boss, you see them drawing Murlocs in for a possible fight, but they were patient enough to not get hit there. So these teams dancing around, they want to try and force before 20, but weren't able to quite get it yet for Denial.
Spread really good too. Not opening themselves up to a big Kerrigan combo, a big mosh pit either from Denial, and they're going to have to, once again, just lick their wounds. At least the nice thing for Denial is that the waves are pushed in a way that they can still try to pick them up. You know, they're not pushed so far ahead, which is how they were earlier when they were dominating the map, because they do need to clear out these waves as fast as they can to get to 20.
Yeah, and so now when it comes to the gems, we do see 41 for Denial, but again, they're just more worried about 20 than anything. Murloc Geniuses, 29 turned in, 23 available to get the turn in here. Now we see them posturing towards the boss. They are starting it. They have 20 advantage. They have Holy Ground, and they have Sanctification here. Those are the zoning tools that they have to be able to get this boss. And with their opponents on the bottom half, they aren't even going to try to stop it here. This could be a win condition. All it's going to take is 1 to 2 picks or a not use of Sanctification. I really like the aggression from Denial, trying to feign them to get them back, but realistically, they aren't going to be able to do anything with that.
Those were fast backs.
They were.
That was good. They came back, at least. They made sure that they didn't lose their keep either. Yeah. Which could have been the potential maybe for a base race. Not sure how that would have turned out. But with Sylvanas, they could have taken it out fast and then came back and defended. So fast backs, fast realization, good map sense from Murloc Geniuses.
And I mean, speaking of map sense here, abusing the fact that the entire side of Denial is up worried about that boss, they are now moving towards the middle keep. It should be falling for them at this point in time. Denial still not having level 20 quite yet. And that is going to be the first keep of the game here, falling over for them. Caffeine looks like he's trying to posture up for a fight, but we know that they don't want it. Wailing Arrow has come back up off of cooldown. Giants are still weighing away on the bottom keep as well. That wasn't actually cleared, even though they all backed for it because they knew they wanted that keep. It's still a winning trade.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just,
definitely.
Strange situation to see that happen here. And turn-ins happening on the upper half here. We're now going to see 52 turn-in here for Murloc Geniuses.
Still have a ways to go in getting some of the gems, but a turn-in is almost there. It's closer for Denial, and they have Storm Talons. And as you can see, the minute they get those and clear out the boss, they move to the turn-in point so they can start to turn those in. Look at the level 20 Storm Talons 4 Bolts of the Storm.
Yeah, but we see, oh man, that's turning their great damage onto Glaurung. Having to bolt out as a Kerrigan is something you never want here. Now we see Murloc Geniuses getting aggressive, hitting a pretty big Sunder here, Gilly.
Fury is starting to be pulled in. Good cleanse once again to allow him to get back out there on the chase. Glaurung has popped Metamorphosis, and Cap power slides in. They still have Mosh Pit, they still have Rain of Vengeance, they have all of these things that they want, but Maelstrom's done.
Yeah, Maelstrom going down is a pretty large survivability tool that they may want to be successful in these tournament, or excuse me, team fights here. So really well done. Murloc Geniuses is now going to be able to back out. They only need one more wave, which they're getting currently to be able to get the turn in. Middle keep has fallen. Bottom, it has an entire fort, so you can expect to see them focusing between the upper half of the map, trying to make sure that they start knocking towards the keep if they're able to get 1 to 2 kills. Denial trying to force a fight, but just don't quite have the tools available yet. Bolt, I think, is going to be up soon here for Glaurung. He might try and make a flashy play.
Okay. Blue Web Weavers are about to descend into the lanes, and that took all of the gems, the resources of Murloc Geniuses to make happen. So they need to get something done with these. They already have a keep down. They are focusing, at least for now, on this mid lane to push it so that this Web Weaver goes far up. It makes Denial have to come to this mid lane first, and you see Murloc Geniuses going up knowing that top lane is a big win condition for Tomb the Spider Queen.
I'm absolutely surprised by Murloc Geniuses. They're terrified of team fights.
Yeah.
Like in the mid lane, for instance, they had the opportunity to keep their opponents busy, possibly get a small skirmish, get bottom fort for free, and top Web Weaver drawing a resource, wailing at the keep. It's 22 minutes in, but instead they just all rotate top, let a free clear happen, and now again the rotation for another free clear here. They don't want to fight. This panics positioning and just decision making right now, it just feels like they're afraid to go blow for blow, even when Maelstrom's off cooldown.
Right, but they have a good fighting composition.
Yeah,
they have everything. Sundering, Divine Shield, Sanctification. They have everything you want for Protect the Greymane composition. A Thrall and Li Ming on top of it. It seems very strange, you're right.
They are very passive post 20 here, and now all cooldowns are going to be up for both teams here. We do have the opportunity for Caffeine to get a very big possible Bolt Mosh at some point in the game. But for now, it's just constant posturing, hoping that Chthon can get really big value, maybe out of Triumvirate or just out of anything that Li Ming provides to the team fights, and then Glaurung hoping to get a combo somewhere.
Well, the last Web Weaver is all but dead in the bottom lane. Won't do very much of anything, even to the towers down here, as Prismaticism will slow it down, take it out. They do fairly well on one of them, but at this point, it's not experience that you want. So you want to win condition, and you want to win a team fight. At some point, they're going to have to fight.
Yes. The question is if they try to take that fight on the back foot with Web Weavers up, where 1 to 2 picks can end the game for Denial, right? Like, where you choose a fight is something I think a lot of people underestimate, not so much just in chokeholds, but the area on the map. For instance, if you die at their core, they have a lot more time to travel across the map, which makes those death timers less relevant. Meanwhile, if you take that, I don't know, at your keep, for instance, it highly increases the probability of you losing the game. Those are some extreme examples that are a bit more apparent, but it feels like Murloc Geniuses is just kind of dancing, willing to let their opponents possibly get that turn and get that fight that could just take 1 to 2 kills.
It's important to note, too, that while there isn't a keep down that requires Murloc Geniuses to go back and deal with catapults, there are 2 that are so low that if Denial can win a team fight, it will be over. As long as they can get, the appropriate amount of kills from that. But it's getting late enough in the game that that won't be a problem. Yes, there has to be a work on the catapults in the mid. Cleanse being used, by the way, to get Cattle out of trouble there.
Yeah, not everybody together. Really good job from Glaurung forcing that cleanse. That means that cooldown's not going to be up for the next combo, which is up in a matter of seconds. Caffeine as well provides a lot of threat with cleanse being on cooldown. Again, just constant posturing here. I feel like it's only buying time for Denial to make something happen here. Caffeine moving in, getting a bit aggressive. Storm Shoot used very early. Glaurung using a defensive bolt. Sundering's going to split the entire team, though. Is this going to lead to a kill? Instantly getting blown up here. Glaurung does hit a combo away, Gilly, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Nope, Hammer of Justice is there, and Kerrigan is down too, and this should be it. A huge repulsion separates the members of Denial. Vala doing what she can, but now being way far away from her base. And after minutes and minutes of posturing, Denial gets 3 kills and starts to push down this mid lane.
They have Sanctification. This should be game. Wailing Arrow is the only real tool, but it's going to be off cooldown. Prismat shouldn't have the kill potential. So they're going here. Kato's now starting to get onto the core. They do have Sanct. Chthon is getting rid of that last turret here. It should be it. I'm surprised the hesitation again here from this team here, but they're going to get game number 1 is going to go over to Murloc.
Murloc Geniuses again defeating Denial eSports 1-0 in a best of 3 between the two here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And that puts Denial 1 game away from being eliminated, but Murloc's 1 game away from moving on to the semifinals.
We're going to have to see if Denial can get it together, because it was a convincing game. Actually, the early game was really in Denial's favor, to be completely honest. But Murloc Geniuses, it seems like once they hit about that 12 area that they did really, really well. But we're going to see what our panelists think about that game right now.
Thank you very much. That is currently a 3-0 score across the day for Murloc Geniuses against Denial eSports. And now it's really getting scary for Denial eSports, a team that came in supposedly strong. Dunk, that was all Murloc Geniuses for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, in the early game, Denial was taking advantage of the Kerrigan composition. We saw Kerrigan ETC get multiple picks in the early game, but it seemed like once Heroics came out, they just couldn't seal the deal anymore. Cleanse, D-Shield, June played amazing, always saving the initiation target. So really just props to him. His Uther play really held it down for his team and allowed them to get to that late game.
And we can take a look at some of the highlights as well from this game in Tomb of the Spider Queen. Quite a long one and quite a patient one towards the middle stages of that game. It was very clear that both teams very eager to try and eke out that win.
Yeah, so this is the level 9 fight, and we do see ETC going down in that corner there. He just got a little overextended, but K1 Pro on the sneaky side backline taking out his target. And then this fight just goes crazy long. K1 baits them into fighting, gets to use his heroic, and then they kill him, getting their heroics, and now everyone's just throwing abilities out. And this fight is pretty much as scrappy as it gets. Now, finally here, this is the disaster zone. At this point, it looked like Denial was crushing, but they go in for a fight. The cleanse was perfect onto Caterpillar. He turns around on that Thrall and immediately chunks Kerrigan out. And you get to see from that point, it's so easy for the Tyrael team to clean up.
I mean, that cleanse was exactly where they turned it around back into Murloc's favor. I mean, June, a player that isn't really well known in the pro scene. As far as I understand it, Murloc's found him as a ladder warrior in Hero League. And this guy is just making waves all day long.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking like, whenever I see new players coming into the scene, you think, oh, okay, land jitters, oh, okay, you know, there's mistakes here and there. But almost every single play he's making is solid. He is a very solid all-around player.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got good reaction time on his cleanses. He's got good discipline on knowing which abilities to cleanse.
Yeah.
He doesn't always throw it out at the first sign of a stun. Sometimes he'll let you tank it because he knows it's not risky, wait for the combo to come out, and then it's just so much value from your support player. Perfect timing.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from June so far. And as I said, currently Murloc Genius is 3-0 against Denial eSports throughout the 2 series. They need one more map against Denial eSports to advance on. Our next map is going to be Garden of Terror for the 2nd time today. It's one that can go on for a long time, and it's one that can have a lot of different compositions going into it here. So, I mean, what can Denial do? They're up against it. They've lost 3 maps against Murloc Geniuses now.
Well, you know, they pulled out the first pick Kerrigan, and obviously Glaurung's been getting, you know, basically locked into certain heroes, have been denied a lot of these comfort picks. If he's denied Zeratul here, I think they're in a tough spot because they don't seem comfortable running the Lost Vikings. That's a hero that's really strong on this map. I actually saw Chris tweet, like, why is Garden of Terror being played with Vikings aren't touched in a draft?
Well, we think that every time we watch America, no offense. Like, Towers, Garden, it doesn't matter, but continue.
But I think that's just the story here. It's like, it's not that Glaurung's playing badly. It's just they're really targeting their play. They're targeting their draft towards him.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that whole draft really did shut down Kerrigan so well. The Uther crushes Kerrigan on her engages. Tyrael, again, got past the 2nd ban phase. I mean, we just saw Denial was not interested in playing Tyrael, which seems to be a downfall for them.
Right, they're so insistent on having ETC in like every single game, and like ETC is great, but I feel like King Caffeine's more than capable of running other heroes in the later game. If they can scoop up something like maybe even get a Greymane for once in this draft, maybe get an earlier Falstad. They actually know they had that earlier, and it didn't work out for them. So I don't know.
Well, to kind of reinforce your points here, it seems that they've tried 3 times against Murloc Geniuses with this kind of similar drafting pattern, and 3 times it's failed. So maybe they do have to make a little bit of a shake-up here if they're to survive in the tournament, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Glaurung now play Thrall, and Zeratul, and Kerrigan, and Illidan. And to be honest, Murloc Genius has pretty much shut him down on all of those heroes. So maybe he needs to try to go to Grey Main. Maybe they need to try to run Tyrael, or even go back to double tank. We've seen Glaurung play Murden to pretty good
Murden
effect
today as well, and it looks good. It looks solid. So.
All right, well, we're getting into draft now for game number 2 as we have Falstad and Zeratul banned out straight away from these two teams. Zagara being picked up as first for Murloc Geniuses. So already some good early game control here for the Geniuses.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully this is the opportunity for Denial to take Greymane. This is, I think, the first time Greymane's gotten to that second pick position when Denial's there. So they've been going with ETC plus Uther. I hope that they switch it up and go Greymane Uther or Greymane Tyrael, Greymane ETC, just any combination of include that Greymane, because he has just been so powerful in all these matches. Yeah, he's not been doing the flashy stuff he was before, but he seems like he's always there on those turns. The counter engages have been so deadly on the front line.
So versatile. Like, that's one thing that lends to like any composition, I feel. And then obviously that ability to get massive burst damage. It's all about numbers. If as long as you know how much you're going to be able to chunk in that combo that you're able to leap in with, then you can do big, big damage and secure that kill, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really happy they haven't insta-locked ETC. They're giving this some good thought on the side of the... Oh, there he is.
You had to jinx it, Jake. It's all your fault.
Well, obviously, the ETC hasn't necessarily... But they got Greymane, so this is actually really good. Glaurung or K1 Pro, both of them can run this hero, but this gives them a lot of options moving forward in the draft.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looks like they have decided to change to that Greymane, but I'm concerned that maybe it's a little too late. They are playing against the Zagara, and it's going to be hard to get that early game control. You really want early game control for your ETC to capitalize, and I'm worried that if they don't pick something that deals with Zagara, they're going to get run over because ETC doesn't have very good wave clear.
I mean, if they watch the series when Eventic played against Murloc Geniuses versus Coffin Zagara, where it tried to go for the Medusa Blades and then the split push with the Nidus network, all they did is just they rotated hard constantly. And, you know, they can definitely draft a style like that to make it so that the Nidus network's not necessarily going to get a lot of value, even if it is a monstrous map of Garden of Terror.
Uther getting picked up. What do you think is going to be our third choice here from Murloc Geniuses? Any thoughts, Dunk?
Well, I mean, the draft is still really wide open right now for Murlocs. Uther is a fine pick here. He's really good in combination with the Greymane. Oh my. I like the Kerrigan pick. I think it's actually really excellent here because the Kerrigan is normally pretty vulnerable to ETC, but the fact that they have Uther with it means that you just can't focus fire at first. This is like them saying, look, we figured out that Kerrigan is actually good, but you need to take the Uther. Last time Denial played it into Uther, which is much harder.
Murloc Geniuses, we've seen Jun play well with the cleanses, with the D shields, so it's certainly a lot of power behind it here. And I would either want Denial maybe to either ban Leeming or pick up Leeming, because if Murloc Geniuses end up getting as third damage dealer, their composition could be very scary, right?
I could see Leeming working great here, though. You just throw it in K1 Pro. He's super confident on the hero. You've got the burst. You pair that with Go for the Throat, and that's a rock-solid composition. So, Denial, assuming they don't ban it, which they are not, they actually banned Thrall, which is rather interesting. But then again, we've seen in the past the Maw paired with Sundering be very powerful, and we saw that Thrall in that last game. The Sunders made plays happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like Thrall is just something that's not really as much in Glaurung's hero pool as some of the other melee assassins, so it could be something that they wanted to ban out because they don't want to deal with it and they're not comfortable picking it. Surprised that Murloc Geniuses actually chose to ban the Tassadar, because it makes sense if you think Denialis was going to go Illidan or Sonya. Those are the only situations they want Tassadar, but I just feel like banning the Illidan outright would have been better, because Sonya's not that great into Kerrigan, Zagara. It's a lot of damage for her, and they have room to counterpick her. Whereas the Tassadar, sure, it might have been okay, but they can just go Rhaegar, Tyrael here, and that's amazing.
The young Tyrael for Denial. We have seen exactly 0 games of them play Tyrael today.
Yeah, this is their first Tyrael game so far.
And I like this a lot. Very strong draft, just a dive buddy there for the Greymane as he goes in.
As you say, like Greymane and Tyrael being picked up for Denial eSports, it's very clear the past 3 games they've realized those drafts have not been working, and we came to the conclusion and they have switched things up. So have you got a little bit more confidence behind Denial at the moment?
Yeah, this draft looks way more manageable. I mean, we've seen internationally, all the top teams have switched to this Greymane Tyrael style when available. Yeah. So I'm happy that Denial did audible into that And I really like the
perfect.
Lee Ming pick here too. That's fantastic. Now their last pick is just going to be Rhaegar because Murloc can't take it.
Yeah, and this is actually the first time they've really saved that support pick till very late in the draft. Well, actually, no, not the first time, but one of the only times.
They've almost always been going like second or something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to work out very nicely for them. But the response on the side of Murloc Geniuses, Johanna pairs very well with that Kerrigan. That is a very strong front line on their end also.
Ooh, Tychus. Tychus is an interesting pickup here. I mean, he does shred ETC, and the grenade is an excellent interrupt. Kerrigan also interrupts ETC. Johanna interrupts ETC. It's going to be very difficult for ETC to get a mosh pit here. In fact, I wouldn't hate it if he went stage dive, just to deal with Zagara. Plus, there's so many stuns on Murloc Genius's team, it would be hard to channel.
Right, that makes sense. And Karazim will be the final one here for
How do you
Denial
feel
Esports.
about this, Dunkus?
Well, the Karazim actually kind of makes sense here. There's no Rexar, there's no Misha, there's no Vikings, there's no small targets to absorb the hits. You're going to be able to ETC slide and then face melt to isolate the Johanna or the Kerrigan. So I really like if you go 7-sided strike here and you just counter engage the Kerrigan and blow her up. The thing is, their damage is a little bit fast on Murloc Genius's side to land the palms.
And at the same time, when Greymane goes deep, he's got to be wary because he doesn't have an Ancestral, he doesn't have Divine Shield, no Divine Palm. Well, maybe Divine Palm, but it's still...
Yeah, I mean, the Greymane's positioning is definitely going to have to be very conscious of where the Sanctification is going down. If he can fight in the Sanctification, he's totally safe, of course, and he'll actually be able to get value. I'm worried if he dives past and Sanctification gets used badly or too early, like we saw how Denial abused Astral. They abused the Tyrael Sanks, right? They put them in bad positions, and then they got to kill the targets. If the same thing happens to Denial, they're going to get crushed because you just can't save a Greymane with the Monk alone.
I mean, with the Karazim alongside here as well, is that even if it's not the Kerrigan that you're actually picking up, Johanna is actually probably one of the best targets you're going to get in terms of a 7-sided strike because she has so much health. So it definitely could work out, right?
Yeah, and no mobility. So, I mean, if she gets isolated, which does tend to happen. I mean, we've seen Fury play a lot, and he's one of those players who really likes to push the limits of his character. He's one of those tank players that likes to get in your backline, distract them, change their focus fire, and that can actually work against him if he also has to deal with this support that can suddenly chunk him for half his HP.
So overall, I mean, what we've seen from the 2 series so far is that we've had a lot of confidence behind Murloc Geniuses from game to game with drafts, etc. But is this now the one game, which is the last chance here for Denial, where we do have a little bit of confidence behind them with draft alone?
I mean, there's confidence there for sure, but they're against Coffin Zagara. No matter how you look at it, that's going to be a big key element here. And also, you're talking about the Tychus. I mean, Candle's very good at that hero as well, and he's going to constantly force ETC and Tyrael to be a little bit less aggressive just because the pressure he can put on them.
Yeah, plus, Murloc Geniuses know they have June on Uther, who's been playing excellent today. They're going to have absolutely no fear. They're going to have pure, full faith in their healer to save them when Kerrigan goes deep, when they get engaged on. So I think that's going to be a lot of credit to them because APM has looked a little bit shaky today. He's missed some palms. He's had some rough games, rough positioning, missed an Ancestral. So they definitely need to focus and clean it up to be able to win this match.
Well, let's see how K1 Pro on Greymane, and of course we have Glaurung playing on Tyrael. They're going to fare here in their last chance to stay alive. As, of course, it is very, very important that they make this work out. They came in to the tournament with a lot of expectations above their heads.
So let's just talk about that because K1 Pro, as we mentioned, we were kind of expecting Glaurung on the Greymane, but K1 does very much play that range style. So putting Glau on Tyrael means Glau is going to be able to play pretty aggressive. The big thing I want to know is he going to be able to play a little bit less more to the support role where he's providing the smites for his team to have that mobility rather than him just being the playmaker, because that's generally his style.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting point you brought up. Tyrael, a lot of times we referred to him as he's like a pseudo support tank, right? He's not a traditional tank bruiser. So it really is going to need a style adjustment for Glaurung. You're not the solo dive guy. You're enable your teammates to get kills guy. So I think if he can play it well, the composition looks great, and I like that they were like, okay, what we were doing, it wasn't working. So they changed to what the dominant plan is in the meta right now. And if they practiced it, if they're good on it, I think they'll see success.
Well, the front line seems survivable, right? I mean, they're going to be diving along with an ETC, with the Karazim if it's needed to be at the front line. A lot of healing value is going to come out of that Karazim in those clumped up situations. And then when you think about it, Lee Ming behind all of that, she is not vulnerable for the most part. She is going to have the best time of her life, hopefully resets after resets for Denial Esports here to keep themselves alive, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the game is going to hinge on if they stay alive long enough to start getting the Leeming resets.
Yeah.
That's the question. I mean, they're going to have to take fights in a death ball to get the most value possible out of the Monk and Tyrael synergy. The thing is, Murloc's comp is really good for picking people apart. You have that Kerrigan, who's really good at isolating targets. Tychus really good in 1v1 skirmishes against other ranged assassins because he's got that big health pool. He's difficult to take down 1v1. So if they can manage to spread the fight out and prevent the death ball sanctification Monk healing, then they could definitely win.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys. Of course, just a few moments here before we actually get into our second game in this final series of the day. We've had the players here for a few days now, though, and we've talked to them quite a bit extensively about many, many things. But let's hear from them as to why they play Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm has enabled me to pursue something that I love.
I really enjoy Heroes because it's just fast-paced. There's a bunch of different maps, so the game never gets stale.
It's very fast-paced from the beginning of the game to the end. You're constantly moving around the map and interacting with other heroes.
When I play Heroes of the Storm, I find that I can play the game like 8 hours a day, every single day, and I still find it fun and challenging. That's why I love it.
I grew up playing Warcraft 2 custom games, and just having that background and being able to play these characters that I've grown up playing, it's a wonderful kind of nostalgia just to be able to play these characters that I've always loved in a team brawler scenario.
I've played almost all the Blizzard games. Seeing like my favorite heroes fight against each other is definitely just like a great feeling to play, and it's never a dull moment.
I was like really into MOBAs, and I always thought it'd be cool to have Blizzard have a MOBA. So then Blizzard came out with this game, and it was kind of like a no-brainer for me. So I mean, I loved how short the games are and just like how cool the community is. That's been a big thing for me.
I love Heroes of the Storm because it's allowed me to establish like personal relationships that I now value.
It's really, I guess, like heartwarming to see like so many people like who support you, who support esports. Like it's a passion of mine, and it's like a passion of theirs too. And they like watch you because they love the game, they love esports. It's really amazing.
You know, everyone on the team wants to be the best in the world. That just means, you know, everything. That's why I play the game. I want to be the best, and it's extremely important to me.
Heroes of the Storm, a game for pros and casuals alike. I think that sums us up very in division very, very nicely. I mean, obviously you've played Heroes of the Storm for a long, long time, Dunk Train.
Yeah. I've been a long-time casual fan of Heroes of the Storm. You know,
casual, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a former pro player. You know, on my end, it's been a fun ride.
I think you've won like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
BlizzCon champ, you know, the whole deal.
Yeah, it's an impressive feat. I can't believe. Cheesed out some Koreans on the way there. That was cool.
Yeah, and I was just happy to get silver this season. So
right,
I'm so happy to be next to you, Jake.
It's a pleasure, man. I know.
It's always nice to be over here in America, as always, because I can understand all your accents in Europe. I don't have a clue what anybody's saying, unless they're from England, of course.
I'm glad I'm not alone there.
Yeah. Although you always take the mickey out of my accent when I'm over here, because Harry Potter Land is close by. I'm not actually sure what I'm talking about. I'll deviate from that for a moment. Still, Denial eSports versus Murloc Geniuses is going to be coming up in a moment, for sure. We can just kind of breeze over what we've seen from these drafts once again. We do see now Denial eSports with Graymin and Tyrael at their disposal in this game, and it is their last opportunity to stay alive. Are they going to be able to make this work?
Well, I just want to harp on that once more, because like we were talking about how Denial had not played Graymin at all today, and guess what? It gave them the flexible option to put either K1 or Glaurung. We were expecting it to be Glaurung based on what we had seen throughout today, but it actually ended up being K1 Pro because they did draft that double warrior. So I'm actually really happy to see this. I think they'll look a lot better, but they're down 0-3 to maps versus Murlocs. We'll see if they can do it.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We are ready to go into game number 2, and it will indeed be Gilly and Dread to bring you all of the festivities.
Here we go with potentially the final game of the day between Denial and Murlocs. If Murlocs can pull out a 2-0 here, that would be huge for them, being able to make it out, only losing that series versus Naventec.
I mean, I think that obviously not trying to take away from what Murlocs has done here, but more than anything, the hype behind Denial. If they were to be taken out here, not even making it out of the group stage, I mean, that might be even a bigger storyline than Liquid struggles recently in the European scene. But for now, we are going to be on Garden of Terror, which could be the knockout game here for Denial eSports. When it comes to talents here, nothing too surprising, really, but really patient rotation. We just saw in the upper half there from the Zagara, avoiding the game from ETC, who was waiting in the scrub. So heads up play there from Murloc Geniuses.
I was actually holding my breath watching that. I was so scared, but great call. They've done a really good job of noticing when people are off of the map today, specifically Murloc Geniuses, knowing that, hey, somebody's off, they're probably lying in wait, so Zagara takes the longer way up, but makes sure that she doesn't lose her life to an early pick. You know, speaking of pick compositions, Murloc Geniuses have been rotating heavily and might be looking for one of their own.
Yeah, Psalm here on the Kerrigan is gotta try and make some pretty big combos happen here, with especially into the double tank. It's easy to hit combos, but to hit combos on valuable targets is a little bit of a different story, especially when you consider that Li Ming has the ability to blink out of it whenever possible. But we are going to have the first seed spawn here in a matter of moments. I would really like to see heavy concentration on the small camps. It's one thing is a lot of people complain about Garden of Terror and how like some of the dynamic when it comes to the seeds and everything but I really feel like this map is won by the small seeds here, and as we see on the bottom half of the map, a good dodge from APM on the combo should be able to dash out. Really heads up play from him.
Yeah, Prismaticism coming down to help him out with the Radiant Dash, and I want to go back to a good point that you made. Not only does Li Ming have an escape from a Kerrigan combo, but really a lot of them do. If Greymane is in his Worgen form, he can use Razor Swipe to try to get away too. They also have Radiant Dash for Kharazim, so they do have some escape options for trying to get out of that sticky situation.
They sure do, and both teams seem to be, at least on the bottom half, we see Murloc Geniuses has already taken out this bottom Terror, while we see Denial eSports starting on the upper half. We'll see if they make the rotation. They obviously have the aggressive early game composition with the Kerrigan here, and that is what they decide to do. Will they be able to delay Fury trying to blind by the time here? But I don't think it's going to matter. They force... Actually, they're going to make it in time.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
They're going to be coming in here. We'll see them start to rotate in. Psalm over the edge. They have him vision. Maybe was looking for a Ravage, but not quite there. Here he comes from the side too. The Terror goes down. Murloc Geniuses steal so many of these seeds. Here they come. Condemn on a lot of the members now too. ETC gets blown up. Glaurung is still in trouble. Uses Eldruins though to get over the wall.
And one thing we have to point out, Psalm accidentally casted his stun underneath himself. That would have been a three-man combo and terribly worse for Denial. They all funneled through that chokehold there. So a bit of misplay allowed Denial to not lose nearly as much as they should have in that situation here. I just cringed a little bit on the inside when I saw them group. I was like, this combo, and then I was like, oh my gosh, he burned the stun on himself. But we'll see if they funnel even more, because you can expect that he was licking his lips there like, oh man, if I only had this.
Speaking of Psalm 2, he is going for a different style of build that we've seen from Glaurung when he's been playing Kerrigan, picking up Psionic Pulse as well as Sharpened Blades for more damage on his Impaling Blade. So this is the new style of Kerrigan, right? The new hotness, where she just does gets so much damage off of those pulls, because once she gets the grasp, then she's dealing damage to anything around her.
When it comes to the decision making here, going with a 1-4, Caterpillar is the one getting into the Terror here. Another option they would have had, one I think I personally would have drawn more towards a bit here, would have been leaving Chthon, the Zagara, by himself, obviously with the build, like with the Infest, or not the Infest in this situation, but the laning dominance he can have overall. I just feel like separating him and then having kill potential with Cattle with the Polymorph with the follow-up to the combo. I think I like that laning phase a little bit more. Obviously, they have a strong control of this early half. I'm just questioning whether or not they're gaining as much as they could have.
Yeah, making sure that they can get everything, not just some things. They want to have every lead and make this as smooth as possible so that there's no chance of Denial coming back later. Once again, Psalm was looking for a big pull. They could grab someone now. Hammer of Justice trying to stall out Glaurung so that Psalm could get the pull over the wall, but Glau gets out in time.
This is really panicked rotations from Denial so far. Once they broke in and kind of grouped up towards the middle here, neglecting a large amount of soak on the opposite sides of the map. I'm surprised to see that coming out from them with such experienced players here. I feel like they're sacrificing a large amount of resources. Yeah, they're going to lose the race to 10. Grouping in mid's not going to change that. So I would like to see them just try and focus a bit more on their soak here, because right now, they're not going to have a team fight until probably like that 12-13 range is their ideal area to be on the same footing.
Right, and they are behind here. When you look at the first terror phase. If you get a terror off of the first night phase, because it's so early on, you have to get a lot out of it to make it worth it, because you will be behind in seeds for the next phase, and the scaling makes it stronger. I feel like Murlocs have gotten that. They have a full level lead.
Definitely.
They've taken down a fort. They've, most importantly, gotten a lot of momentum, especially if, once again, we're going to see Cawthon go for the Nidus network build. You can see his creep is in multiple lanes, so he can quickly start to throw out those Nidus worms.
No, I agree. I have not seen that much value without a Sylvanas, or something of the like here in the early game, or somebody to get a good amount of split push, maybe even a Vikings comp on a first tier in a long time. So Murloc Geniuses huge lead here, but they are on the retreat here. Fury has nothing left here. Cleanse came out, but it wasn't enough for him, so that is a good kill for Denial. Great timing as well. It's right during the phase for the Seeds here. They're going to be able to secure at least one terror for themselves.
But no heroic abilities for Denial, and Murlocs have just picked theirs up, and Nidus, once again, the choice of heroic for Cawthon. We'll see him start to throw those worms down. Murlocs are still being aggressive, knowing they have their heroic abilities, and they're going to get an easy kill on Glaurung.
Really good job from them being aggressive, understanding that they had the heroics and Glaurung was a bit isolated. I can't help but say it. It seems like tilt so far for Denial. They seem to be falling apart. That last game was not pretty on their half, and it only seems to be becoming worse. I mean, to be completely blunt, we did see a little bit of a struggle when it came to Prismat and APM in the last one, but now it seems to be carrying over to what we consider maybe more of the experienced players that have been around a bit more. But we'll see if they're going to be able to get it together. They now just have a Terror and their heroics. Caffeine moving very aggressive. That's a huge maw, but they did not go for it. Not pulling the trigger quite yet.
Yep, there was the potential for a big mosh pit, as a lot of the members from Murlocs were grouped into a choke, but instead Denial just want to deny all of the seeds from their opponents. They already have one Garden Terror that's started to push out, and from this they make sure Murlocs don't get one of their own.
Yeah, that deny was a really pretty thing for them. They might be able to turn around the XP loss here. Tyrael is the one that is going to be in the Terror. Leaving everybody else, I guess with Li Ming being the backline, it's a good choice for them to send Tyrael into it. Typically you want to kind of put like Zag is actually a really good choice a lot of times, because she's like one of the few that can get flanked and killed. Tychus might be another when looking at Murloc's comp, but for Denial I actually do like that they go with the Tyrael. Now they are taking the top tier here, a bit of a skirmish. Murlocs are trying to move in, but a really good zone there coming up from the Polymorph on Glaurung.
There goes the rest of the seeds to Denial, and that will be a second Garden Terror for them after this one's done. So that will keep Murloc Geniuses nice and busy throughout this day phase, as once this one's done, they can go for a little bit longer, maybe grab a couple of mercenary camps and then push again. And importantly, that slows down the split push style of Zagara that Murlocs are throwing out.
No, that is a huge win for them. Fury now looking to get aggressive. Sanctification only being used on himself, or on his team, sorry about that. And then we're trying to get this team fight. I don't think Glaurung's going to be able to make it out here. His passive is going to gain a bit of value, but already one person falling here when was pretty engaged at the beginning of that. And then, I don't know.
It was pretty early, and it was just off of one combo. It was like, combo, okay, let's sank.
Yeah.
And so it got over pretty fast, and then Maelstrom was still going on. There was a lot of damage, and they lose Tyrael again, and that's the second time.
We've seen Glaurung in that position in this game.
Yeah.
And again, it seems like it's oh my goodness. Words are impossible right now. Channeling over to some of the other players on this team. I was surprised that it was such a huge group, right? And you got the Sanctification. Everybody, it looked like they were running away almost.
Yeah.
It felt like in that situation. But now another Terror here for Denial. They have pressure everywhere, though. If you look at the map, completely painted blue here. So that's going to make them a little bit distracted, have to clear that up. Well, Nidus Network Zag moving around.
Yeah, that's a great point that you point out. The Murloc Geniuses have pressure in nearly every single lane, which means that it slows down this Garden Terror that Glaurung has been pushing with. And once Murlocs get 13, trying to get too aggressive as Denial will be very scary, because they do have somebody in this plant terror, and it would be somebody who would be able to help out with the sustain for their team. So we'll see what the rest of the members want to do. It looks like they do want to try to all come up here to the top lane. And if they don't want to try to defend this with everyone, again, Cawthon could move down to a Nidus Network at the bottom, but I think they want to maybe try to find a fight out of this, potentially.
Yeah, it looks like that might be the case. They do only have 13 tier advantage. Laser just came off of cooldown. Glaurung is trying to get as much value as he can for the time being, but he hasn't been able to do too much with it. They don't have necessarily the most dominant sieging composition, right? Like Li Ming, Greymane, only if they have like 1 to 2 kills and have somebody to kind of back them up. So he's trying to get what he can out of it. Psalm is going to end up missing this combo in the mid lane for now, which means their teamfight's going to be weak for a moment, and Glaurung's still in the Terror getting a little bit of value.
Importantly, this is a 4v5, but the Nidus is here just about to be taken out, trying to maybe protect it in case Zag wants to come back here, but she is happily pushing with such a huge minion wave in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that was really good value, and she makes that rotation again. Glaurung in mid lane trying to force a little bit of a fight here. They need to be hyphy with this. They have Zag just wailing away at their key front wall for the time being, and Murloc Genius is like, you're going to 5-man mid with a Terror for this long and not gain anything? We're going to say worth.
Absolutely worth it. Cawthon just happily gets back in the Nidus Worms like,
see you,
well,
nerds.
That was fun. Your base is really nice. Thanks for letting me hang out. I'm just going to peace out now, and he does.
I'm surprised at the hesitation here coming out from Denial, and the really good rotations on the side of Murloc Geniuses. Now they're going to be getting their night camp, more pressure onto the map as the night phase comes into play. And like when we saw that first Terror and we were talking about how much Murloc gained off of it, and then we saw a double Terror play on the side of Denial, and it just felt like they gained nothing. But Psalm maybe getting caught out here, burning his combo already, Gilly.
Yeah, there were no forts. Sanctification has been used now, and there comes Divine Shield with Maelstrom. Mosh Pit got nothing. Psalm pretty low, and there Fury is pulling some people into the stun from the boss. A couple people might go down. He uses Iron Skin, Tyrael taken out, and he doesn't get the kill. They're still trying to chase down Fury as much as they can. Dodges Arcane Orb June, hitting Hammer of Justice to slow him down. Do they get this kill?
How has nobody died yet? Oh my goodness, everybody's going to survive. That was a huge play, though, from Psalm, actually using his Q to be able to dodge Tyrael's passive. They go 1 for nothing in that trade. Mosh Pit being completely whiffed, as you point out. And again, it just seems like absolute panic here from Denial. 16 tier advantage is going to be picked up pretty quick for Murloc Geniuses. They have an obvious blatant seed lead as well, while having Zagara just split pushing as best they can. This is looking grimmer and grimmer for Denial.
Murloc Genius is clearly showing that they understand new Zagara.
Yes.
They know that she can come into fights. They understand that we saw them protecting the Nidus Worms as best as they could in fights too, and yet they pick compositions that still are very strong without her, so they know how much to test the limits and keep communication constant, so they know if she needs to come back in and help the team fights or not. And the battleground has been painted blue for so long. Zagara taking out towers in the bottom lane in front of the keep, while Denial has yet to even take down a fort. And you're right, 2 Garden Terror phases in a row where they couldn't get that.
Yeah, and that's really huge for them. They picked a double warrior composition, which obviously is going to be struggling in the wave clear department, but they haven't been forcing fights either, right? We saw they knew it was a 4 versus 5 in the mid lane, and they were just like, we're going to back out. And it seems like that has been a lot of their decision making so far in this matchup if they haven't been getting caught out by the Kerrigan. But for now, a Terror will be going in the hands of Murloc Geniuses. They're denying even the night camp at this point because of the 16 tier advantage. And I expect Murloc Geniuses to gain a lot off this. Threatening keeps, a minimum top 4 is going to be falling in a keep front wall. So they're in a pretty spot in this game.
An imposing presence is there for Johanna, so if they want to try to focus her down even, that could slow down the attacks of Greymane, allowing them to get her out of any situation like that, because like the panel mentioned, Fury likes to test his limits on heroes, especially as Johanna, as we have seen this game.
Yeah, and Terror is now going to be moving down for Murloc Geniuses. They have the Giant Camp pressuring in mid. They have the Giant Camp pressuring on top. Nidus is prepped in the bottom half if they want to worry about that. But for now, it looks like the keep mid is what they're focusing on here. The rotation from Denial going to be a complete 5-man. Good poly to get the zone. I would expect them to buy time, allowing Zag to get the top 4. No, instead she's rotating towards mid, so they're going to be looking for this fight instead. I expect them to get a free fort on top, but they're going to leave that to the Giants, then make that rotation towards the middle half. And so expect a big play coming out here. Psalm already taking a bit of harass. I'm surprised he hasn't moved in for a combo either. They're just playing very passive.
They want to play passively, waiting and watching. Psalm does throw out a combination, but now 16 is here for Denial, so they can try to go for a team fight. What we've done, Glaurung hopping out pretty far. That's Holy Ground being used with the Eldrain's Might. Early Iron Shield, though, for Johanna, too, so cooldowns being used potentially on each side.
Yeah, 2-man combo going to come out and going to be completely whipped. Beautiful, though. Divine Shield, the 2-man Mosh on the back half. And Psalm is still not dead. He gets a combo as well. And that is going to be 1 reset here as the teams go 1 for 0. Murloc Geniuses now onto their retreat. 2 are going to be falling now. That is going to be 3. And what was a really great Divine Shield doesn't matter with the counter Mosh. 4 for nothing here for Denial eSports.
That was an amazing mosh pit for Denial, catching a ton of people and moving Psalm out. So even though Psalm have everything that normally you would want as a Kerrigan to just go into the fight, the zoning was impeccable for Denial. And finally, they take down A Fort. They're going to start to push back some of these lanes too. There's a mercenary push in the top lane, but still, they're going to try to just get structures down. They need to open up some way for them to win if they want another team fight like that.
Yeah, this is a lot like we saw in the last game when they get a small advantage and then trying to do as much as they can to come back. Denial eSports finally have breathing room here. They're going to be able to get a Terror almost 100% B-step coming up from Fury. I like it. A little bit of trash talk here never hurt anybody. So again, Denial is going to be able to get a Terror in their favor. XP is almost completely even. Structural it is identical as well. So what was lopsided is now a completely even game.
If Denial could just possibly get down another 1 or 2 of these forts, they could start to take an experience lead, but Zagara has been having none of that. Already dealing with whatever damage was done in those lanes. And you can see they're still being pushed into Denial side yet again, not letting up on the pressure even for an instant.
Gong getting good zone and Sanctification on top of himself with the Holy Ground, now splitting the entire team. Psalm moving aggressive, has the D-Shield, hitting 5-man with the Maelstrom, but no combo out quite yet. Palm is going to be used. ETC is already out. Karazim's already dead. That's 2 people here. 3 people now is dead for Denial eSports, and we see Murloc Geniuses getting more aggressive. Prismatic is going to be able to dodge, but for now, it just is looking absolutely grim for them.
Oh, Psalm going in with another combo. King Caffeine in danger and will get out, but this is a lane that has already been pushed right to the keep. It is a free present off of all of that. I guess that is the definition of a present, right?
I mean, pretty much. I hope presents are free for the most part. But 20 advantage is now going to be picked up. June moving very aggressively into this core. They're looking to end it. Combo coming out. Prismat is still alive and he will survive the situation. Caffeine is trying to delay it, but I don't think it's going to matter. That's 5 people wailing away their 75% Gilly. This is going to be it.
50%. This is it again. Murloc Geniuses able to take down Denial eSports twice in Group A. What an impressive turnout for Murlocs.
Murloc Geniuses really showing that we were all wrong. Whoever thought that Denial came out of the roster apocalypse as the #1 team, that is not the case, because this group is showing great play with one another, synergy, strategy, everything. They look like a completely different team. Like I'm very impressed. I've never seen Fury, Cattle, if Psalm even. I've never seen them do this well in a group, right?
Right. The synergy was so on point. I love that you brought that up. And I think maybe part of it, I know part of it comes down to June.
Yes, I agree 100%. June right now is paving the way to be one of the best support players here in North America, if not the. I mean, look at that right now. Like, it's just that Divine Shield was perfectly timed. Yes, this isn't the prettiest of team fights, but when Cattle just gets a God Mosh, you can't deny that.
Yeah, some still lasted for such a long time there. They could have lost everybody, and yet still they did such a good job, right? Cawthon had a ton done in the lanes, so that even when Denial won that fight, they still just did not have the leeway in lanes to get very much off of it, and that happened to them multiple times.
Absolutely, and we've been talking up June, but it turns out we have an interview with him with TJ.
Thanks very much, guys. That's right. I'm joined by the god of cleanses himself. It's June from Murloc Geniuses. First off, congratulations, man. It's your first LAN. I just want to get your thoughts on your experience so far. How's it been playing with these guys and now making it through the group stage?
I think it's really great beating everyone on all the teams. They've been really good people, basically, not just like gamers. It's outside of their what's it called? I don't know the word right now. I'm kind of excited. Their personalities. They're like amazing people. Like Denial. They're awesome people too. It's just pretty good right now.
Did you expect to have such a good performance? And Denial was touted as one of the teams that was going to be the favorite coming in. And you guys had a 4-0 score against them in the group stage, beating them twice. Did your team expect this? What were your thoughts going into the matches today?
Honestly, kind of. I mean, our team are really prepped really, really hard, and they're amazing players. We trust each other on our plays. We're good. We play as a team, so yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's good.
yeah.
It's good to have confidence, man. It's good to have confidence. Well, I want to talk a little bit about gameplay. You seem to favor the Uther over many supports. You guys picked it early sometimes, but most of the time you just played the Uther throughout the day. Why do you choose Uther most of the time over other supports? Why do you favor him?
Honestly, I let my team pick it for me, and my favorite spur actually is Monk. But Uther, he's really good at burst heals, he has clans. He actually has a pretty good sustain with the W bit on 1 and 4. And he can contribute to the team part even if you're dead, like Tyrael. So I think he's just great here overall.
Yeah, I know everybody likes to play Karazim because he does more damage. Everybody likes to be the carry support.
Yeah, flash plays, next Merry Day, you know.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for the interview. I'll let you go celebrate with your team. But that's going to do it from us up here at the stage. Let's send it back over to the panel to close out the day.
Thank you very much, TJ. Always nice to hear from June here coming in for his first LAN. Fantastic stuff. This is Group A. This is how it has gone down as a whole. We've seen some great games today throughout the course as we have Team Naventic advancing in first seed here into the semifinals, and Murloc Geniuses able to round things out down towards the lower bracket, but almost in every single one of their series, bar going up against Team Naventic. They looked like a formidable group.
Yeah, I mean, the story coming into this tournament was, what's the actual situation like in North America? We don't know. Because of the roster apocalypse, Denial was super hyped. I feel like Murloc went a little under the radar. Online especially, nobody was really talking about them. We knew they were a solid roster, but they just dominated today. I mean, I don't know if it was land jitters for Denial or Murloc just super prepared, but they came in, they had strategies, and they executed them well.
I mean, on the side of Denial came in with like 3 really big names and then 2 lesser-known players. Whereas on the side of Murloc, it's really just June. That's like the lesser-known player, but he actually was probably the biggest playmaker on the entire team. So when their new pickup, when they already have seasoned players, is an absolute boss, like, you know, top support in NA, one of them, that's just going to make the results happen.
I mean, it's not even a full Murloc Geniuses composition either. Actually, taking one player from another team, just coming to this tournament and showing up so strongly, really. Very, very impressive stuff as a whole. Of course, Naventic going through in first place as well in this group. Always a pleasure to be able to watch them. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much does it for Group A. Make sure to join us tomorrow for Group B, where we'll have our next 4 representatives from America trying to join Naventic and Murloc Geniuses in that semi-final. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. local time.